Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back. And let's take a look at what I pulled out of the garage today. So we got some Thunderbirds, big Thunderbirds, birds of a feather flock together and all that good stuff. So we're going to look at this generation of Thunderbird. These castings are all from Greenlight. Three different interesting versions I'm going to show you today. Fairly recent castings too. They just made these this year, I believe. So that year range I just said, 72 to 76, that probably has a familiar ring in your ear. Reason for that is because I mentioned that in a previous video on Lincoln Mark IVs. Well, it's not by coincidence, because as it turns out, this generation Thunderbird and the Mark IV were built in the same assembly plant in Wixom, Michigan in those years, and they shared a lot of components with each other. Their substructure, things like the cowl, the floor and trunk pans, inner hood structure, the frame, drivetrain, pretty much all that major stuff you can think of. The only thing it didn't share was certain key interior trim components and external sheet metal. Those are really the only differences. Also, the roof skin was shared between the two cars. So they had a lot in common. And the Ford Thunderbirds in this year, they were quite a bargain. Ford was in essence offering you a Lincoln Mark IV for 70 cents on the dollar, because they had a lot of the same luxury interior components, same comfort and convenience features, and pretty much the same ride as well. So it was a way to get Mark IV luxury for a little slightly fraction of a price, because they sold for about $7,200 to $7,500, whereas Mark IV would set you back about $10,000 to $10,500. So, as I mentioned, these are all three versions from Greenlight. The one you see on the turntable is a 1974 model, finished in a lovely medium blue, it looks like, metallic. Navy blue interior, navy blue top, and it's also got the color-keyed wheel covers, which was indeed a factory option you could get. I saw several T-Birds in these years that had color-keyed wheel covers. Greenlight always does a quality job on their cars. Everything is faithfully replicated, from the T-Bird script to the trim, the cornering lamp, opera window, interior trim, all the way down to the full width tail lamp in the back. Backup light is in the center there. And just a really nice casting. Nice quality paint. Shape of the dashboard is dead on. Notice the front end here, very ornate, with the square bezels around the round headlamps there, ornate grille. And Ford had a car called an Elite that was actually an intermediate, and it had a very similar front end to this. The only difference was it had two headlights set in square bezels as opposed to four like the Thunderbird does. Excuse me. And if you look at the chassis underneath, just like on the Auto World Mark V I showed you a little while ago, they do a good job of faithfully replicating even the chassis. These braces are present and accounted for on the real Thunderbird. You see the shape of the C6 transmission oil pan is there. You got the exhaust at X's on the driver's side, which is a little bit of an oddity. And this one is not as prominently displayed 9-inch rear as it was on the Auto World Mark V, but they did a pretty good job. And I just really love the color and that luster of that paint. And it's just a really nicely done model. I will set that aside for a minute now, and I'll show you this one. And this one is my most favorite. So just like in the Mark IV, you could also get some special edition series in the Thunderbird. So they had luxury group cars. This is one of them right here. This is a 1976 cream and gold luxury group car, finished in a lovely cream with kind of like a yellow gold, I guess is what they called that, metallic. And they had a color coordinating interior. These came very highly optioned with almost everything that they could offer as far as like power features go. They had that beautiful polished aluminum wheel that was very popular back then. In fact, it's the same wheel that you would find on a Mark IV. The only thing that's different is the center cap, where the center cap covers up all the lug nuts. And you just get this very smooth, nice, almost like seamless appearance with those wheels. Very sharp. And you'll notice this one also is just very nicely done. Everything from the trim, the cornering lamps. I like the fact that they made the opera windows with the little clear plastic glass. And these taillights are even better than the one on the 74. You see they have like an electroluminescent appearance to them, which I think is a nice touch. Yeah, these were very, very plush Thunderbirds. Just like riding on a cloud. And I'm also going to tell you, I'm very encouraged by this model for two reasons. One, I know that they're going to make other special editions as time goes by. But also, because the casting is so similar to a Lincoln Mark IV, I believe that in the not too distant future, Greenlight is going to make a Lincoln Mark IV casting. And you can rest assured when they do that, I'm going to make sure I get one, or maybe 5. Okay, maybe not that many. But I'm definitely going to get one, and I will definitely do a video showcase of it. I also like the way they, I just noticed this too, they replicated the pinstriping very nice on that too. So yeah, I'm really encouraged by this. I hope they make some other special edition versions like the lipstick and white version, the dark jade, light jade version. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be fun to collect those. All right, now let's talk about this one. And I'll also show you why I've got that printout, because of what's going on with this Thunderbird here. So this is a 1973 Thunderbird that Greenlight does. And you know, here's the thing. I did not, these two cars are fresh out of a blister pack, okay? This one I did not get in a blister pack. I actually ordered this off of eBay, and it was out of the blister pack. And it was in like just a regular clear plastic container. So I had no idea. When I was looking at this car, I'm thinking to myself, is that the American Violence model kit Thunderbird that they're replicating? And I said to myself, no, it can't be, because that was a 72 model. So I did some research, and I found out that this is the Thunderbird that was featured in the 1994 movie The Crow. And the gang leader, who coincidentally was called T-Bird, drove this Thunderbird just like this, with the blower sticking through the hood and the side pipes. And I had forgotten all about that movie. I can't believe it. So this is finished. I don't know what you'd call that color. It's not quite burgundy. It's not quite red. It's not quite magenta pink. It's just some flavor of all three mixed together almost. And it's got a black top, black interior. 73, you'll notice, has a little bit different tail panel, because it didn't require the big hefty bumper in the back at that point. But as you can see, this has got the really neat looking full width tail lamp on that one. Rear bumper's a little smaller, kind of fits up closer to the bodywork. The front end is similar to the 74 and 76 I just showed you, with the big bumper and the egg crate grill and all that good stuff. This being T-Bird's car from the movie, it's got this big push bar on the front there. Knowing what a reprehensible character T-Bird was, he probably used that to mow down pedestrians in the street. And yeah, I got, of course, the big blower sticking through the hood, and the custom wheels. They look like American racing wheels of some sort. And then the side pipes. So yeah, with a 460 and headers and a blower and those side pipes, this would have been a very loud car. And that was interesting there. All right. I think my camera just had a brief freeze on me. That's very unusual. My wife was talking about getting a new camera. All right, so as I mentioned, I initially thought this was the American Violence Thunderbird. Let me talk about that for a second. I have the printout right here, okay? So this was a model kit, and it was an import model kit that you could buy. It was made in Japan. Now, where I was growing up in Colorado, we had a hobby store in a town called Greeley, and it was called Don's Hobbies. And this place was 3 levels of hobby fun. It was in the old part of town. It was in a historical building. So he had the basement level was dedicated to all electric trains, model trains. The middle level was the main level, which was the ground level. That had all the die-cast cars, the model kits, figurines, and many other collectible items, aircraft, you name it. He had it all. And then he had an upper loft area that was kind of like a half of a third level. And that's where he had the, you know, remote control airplanes, remote control cars, things like that. So this guy had a huge hobby store. And he was well known in northern Colorado, and people would come to him from miles around to buy his products. So one of the more interesting things that he had in his store was he had these off-the-wall, oddball import model kits like this that you had never seen before, never heard of. And I was so intrigued by this because, number one, I've never seen a plastic model of a 72 Thunderbird. Second, I never saw a 72 Thunderbird with a giant blower sticking through the hood. And since these model kits predated Mad Max, I knew that that wasn't the influence for it. So here's what I found out. The reason these kits are called American Violence is, now as I mentioned, these are produced in Japan, these model kits. There were 4 vehicles in the series, the Thunderbird being one of them. There was also a Challenger, a Mustang, and a Trans Am. And they all came where you could do it as a 201 kit, either as a stock car or the custom one with the blower sticking through the hood. So apparently in the Japanese language, there is no word that translates into muscle. These were supposed to be called American Muscle. But in the Japanese language, there's no word that translates to that. And so there was like a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. So the kits were named American Violence because of that. But what's funny is that's almost appropriate because in Japan, in Japanese culture, Americans and our violence is highly disdained and not held in any kind of good regard at all. So the fact that the kits ended up being called American Violence, it almost makes you wonder if it was like one of those, like Bob Ross would say, a happy accident. So because it's very accurate and it fits very well, I believe, unfortunately. But anyways, when you find these kits on eBay, you can find them and they are in unbuilt condition, meaning they haven't been cracked open and they're still sealed up. And when you do find them, they go for big money because being rare, being made in Japan and import, they command a very high value. And the Thunderbird is one of the more popular models simply because it's so unusual. You know, most companies did a model kit of a Mustang or a Challenger or a Trans Am. Almost nobody was making a model kit of a big American luxury personal coupe like a Thunderbird. So if you want to get yourself in a really interesting model kit to build, because let's face it, when you're in the die-cast cars, you're going to almost naturally be in the plastic model kits as like a consequence of it. I'd say look it up, but be prepared to pay some big money for it. All right. So anyway, so that's the little history lesson about that model kit and also a little bit on these Thunderbirds here. Hope you enjoyed it, and I got a lot more content coming, so stay tuned. See you again next time.